everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. Register your team today. Get in on some great tournaments. We're going to be out at some tournaments on Saturdays. We'll be out there with the crew. We'll be doing interviews. We'll be doing trivia, giving away baseball cards, and we've got a few surprises for you this year. So make sure you stop by and see us over here at Youth Baseball Midwest. We'll be there with Game 7 Baseball, Dave and Dave, doing it right. Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois. Check out Darren Dodd up in Q-Town. Going down to Ballparks National as well. Got the new turf out at Warrenton. Great stuff. Jody Witt, Tennessee. Lots of fun. Looking forward to it. Game7baseball.com. Today, I'm going to butcher this coach's name. Levi
Jacyna.
I had to hear it again. I hadn't said it enough, Coach.
That's all right. I understand.
Head baseball coach at Elsberry High School. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love talking baseball. Love to get the coaches, and I appreciate the information, because it's funny. I've been looking around across the state, and I've probably spent the better part of the last 2 years looking at where conferences, where do people play, and I know a lot of times, I don't know how much depending, you put into the conference, but a lot of times you're playing a lot of these teams in districts as well, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Some more than others. For our conference, we usually see Montgomery County quite often. They're either in our district or in the district next to us. So, yeah, we see them quite a bit. They're the most frequent one we see.
So we're going to talk a little bit about some Elsberry baseball today. You guys are Class 3.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you finish last year, Coach?
Last year we came up short. We lost our quarterfinal matchup against South Callaway. We lost that game 6-5 on some just unfortunate defense at the wrong time. We didn't finish where we should have been. If we would have beat South Callaway, I was hoping we'd make it to a state championship game. That would have been really nice to have for that senior group. But yeah, it was still a really successful season.
Well, South Callaway, that's familiar. They went a long way, didn't they?
Oh yeah, yeah. They're really good. Heath over there, Coach Lepper is a really good coach. Probably a Missouri State Sports Hall of Famer. He's a really solid baseball guy. It's always fun to play against any of his teams that he coaches.
Yeah. I'll be honest, there's a lot of these teams I don't know a lot about.
Sure.
I actually do know where Mark Twain High School is, though.
Okay.
Because you take 19 going back east,
That's
I believe
right.
or west, and it's kind of right there in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's right there in the middle of a cornfield. It's kind of what it is.
And, if you because you're going up 61 to Hannibal, and the only reason I knew that is because a company I used to work for, there was a client out there in Center that I had to visit, and so I'd I didn't.
Yeah,
high school's right there.
It's just right there. Yeah.
So that makes sense. Louisiana, Bowling Green, Clopton, Montgomery County, of course, North Callaway County, Silex. What is that? Van Far, and Wellsville, Middleton, and then Wright City.
Yeah.
That's not a easy conference, is it?
No, it's got its challenges. There's some sneaky teams in there. Wright City, who used to be coached by Ryan Ratterman, who's at CBC now, had turned that program 180 on its head, and it was an absolute animal to try and get through the past few years. Montgomery County always seems to have the arms. You never know when Bowling Green's going to get hot. They're always consistently there in the mix. And so is a small little ball club like Silex. Silex is coached by Kent Hufty, and he's been there for a long time. He's had numerous Final Four appearances under his belt, so it's not an easy task.
Yeah. No. So how many of these teams do you guys see in your district?
Like I said, we usually only see Montgomery County. I believe North Callaway is also a Class 3 school. Most of them in there are going to be Class 2 and lower, though. I think the only Class 4 teams are going to be Bowling Green and Wright City.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's always tough when you got conference play. And do you play every one of these teams?
Yeah, we have to play everybody at least once. Yep.
Wow. So how do you fare against the Class 4 schools?
We usually hold our own pretty well. I don't know how we'll do this year. We have some really good arms coming back, but our offense took a big hit. But in years past, we've been pretty successful in facing them. We've had the arms to go the distance with just about anybody, and some offensive firepower to come back behind that. So we've held our own. So it'll be interesting to see how we do that this year, though.
Well, I always like to start there. Pitching is always, if if you're getting beat around, man, it's hard. It's hard to get outs and get back up to bat.
It is
all that kind of thing. So, I know you got one big dog coming back, Gavin Woodson.
Yeah. Gavin is a animal in his own right. He's committed to go to Mineral Area next year, which is going to be great for him. I'm really excited to see him go through with that. He's a guy on the bump that's going to throw strikes every single day. He came out his freshman year, was a good relief pitcher for us, and got us out of some big tough spots. He actually finished our quarterfinal matchup against Father Tolton that sent us to state his freshman year. And then his sophomore and junior year, he just got better. The walks went down, strikeouts went up, ERA, whip, it all started moving in great directions. And yeah, he's a force to be reckoned with. He's chasing 90 miles per hour now. So he's flirting with it. Last year we got him up, I think, to around 86, 87. He's put in a lot of work in this offseason. So we're going to kind of hold him back at the beginning of this season, and hopefully by late April, beginning of May, he'll be ready to go full guns. I
had heard about him, knew who he was, hadn't seen him pitch.
Mm-hmm.
We live streamed the American Legion All-Star game.
At Bush.
Illinois and Mo at Bush this past season. And he came out, I think it was the 6th.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I don't think he struck out the side, but it was close.
Mm-hmm.
And but nobody really touched him.
No, he's a pretty formidable dude, and that's after having a full high school season on top of that, plus Legion. So he probably threw 50 to 60 innings for us, and I'm sure he threw just as many for them. And at the tail end, that's him on fumes. So when he's primed, it's something to behold. It's really fun to watch.
So who you got behind Gavin there, Coach?
We have Sean Phillips. Sean's committed to go to Crowder, which is a great JUCO program.
Yeah.
Obviously, he really caught their attention this fall, and he's committed and signed to go there for the foreseeable future. Sean was actually named a Max Preps Freshman All-American his freshman year, and we really rode his coattails his freshman year to make that Final Four appearance. If we didn't have Sean, we wouldn't have made that. He came out as a freshman just absolutely dicing people up left and right. Teams had game plans against him. I remember Maplewood, Richmond Heights had a really good, solid game plan against him, and he still figured out a way to get several strikeouts and to get us through that game. He's also put in work and put in his time. Right now he's battling a little bit of a shoulder injury, so he's on the shelf right now. But I'm hoping by hopefully beginning of April he's ready to go.
Wow, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah, I think we have a really good, probably one of the best, if not the best, arguably the best 1-2 punch maybe in Class 3. So.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
Yeah,
because there's some good fun. Class 3 schools.
Licking's got a pair of kids down there that are really good. So
they just got done winning it last year.
That's right. If we could have beat South Callaway and got through that, I thought that would have been a heck of a ball game to watch.
Because South Callaway was in the Final Four last year.
Yeah,
right?
they took second. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So it's not like you lost to chump change.
That's right. That's right.
No consolation though,
Yeah,
right, Coach?
that's right. That's right.
Talk a little bit about depth behind those two guys. Do I mean, small schools always seem to have to, you don't have a lot of depth usually. You just kind of got to work guys in. With that in mind, how many games do you usually play in a season?
For us, this year we're looking around, I'm trying to keep it between 20, 25. That puts Woody and Sean on the bump, obviously, every fourth day. So we definitely have to have some guys to fill in for that. We have a lefty who can flirt with mid-80s. Unfortunately for Chadley, he's been hurt for the past 2 seasons. Something went wrong in his elbow. Luckily, nothing tore or anything that he required to have surgery for. So he's been out for 2 years. But we're hoping that we can all put it together and he can kind of be that dark horse that we get to ride in on and kind of say, hey, we got one more piece to this puzzle that you don't know about yet. So we're really I'm looking for some really big things out of him this year. And then we have just some patchwork quilt kind of things, some strike throwers. We're not going to blow it by you necessarily, but we'll dance and dive around the plate and just hope to get yourself out. So
there you go.
That's all you can do.
It takes, right?
That's right.
Defensively, how many returning starters you got?
We have our left fielder this year will be Noah Taylor. He played second base for us. He's a returner, a senior. Ben Dow played left field, and he's taking over center. He's also a returner. Gavin Woodson will find himself in the infield. Sean will find himself back in the infield as well. And Colin Phillips, which is Sean's younger brother. He's a sophomore, great ball player as well. He saved our butt last year coming in as a freshman. We had our senior actually go down in a jamboree. He got his head completely cleaned off. Just got rocked at the Union Jamboree and was just never able to get through concussion protocols and stuff like that. So he took it over as a freshman last year and played way better than a freshman should as a catcher. So looking at big things.
Catcher.
Looking at really big things out of him. So yeah, he took that role on and just owned it. So those are my 5 returners.
You got a catcher coming back.
Mm-hmm.
You got your 2 guys. You probably usually in the middle. I mean, I'd say Woodson is your shortstop.
Yep.
You got your center fielder. He's moving over, but still.
Yep.
When you're solid up the middle, that makes a huge difference.
That's what we're definitely living and dying by this year is being strong up the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved that. Do you have any, is there a freshman that you're looking at maybe to make that kind of impact again this year?
I think there might be one freshman that can help us. I don't know if he'll have a huge impact on the game. But we've seen some things out of him this spring so far that it's like, oh, hey, he's kind of grabbing our attention right now. We got to see what more of this about. And then I have another freshman behind that. Not to say that he hasn't grabbed our attention as much, but he's definitely made an impact that's kind of like, hey, you can't really forget about me either. So I have 2 guys that I think are going to see some varsity time for us and be able to piece it together, help us bridge those gaps that we lost last year with those 4 seniors moving on. But I'm really expecting some big things out of our sophomore class. We have a couple guys in there that I think are ready to make some statements and not let those freshmen necessarily see that playing time they want.
I always like to ask this, especially here, Class 3, how many guys did you have come out, for tryouts this year?
We had 20.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty solid numbers for our area. Obviously, we're not a huge school, but we're right in that that tweener stage. But we had 20 guys come out. Probably 15 have played baseball in their lifetime. We have some kids that like baseball, love to watch it, haven't necessarily been able to play it the way they wanted to or the way they expected to. So they're learning a lot really fast. They're learning that sometimes it's like drinking from the fire hose. You just get a lot all at once. So
I love that analogy. Drinking from the fire hose.
It is. It can be. They're learning really quick what that's like in high school ball. So
I never heard that before, but I love that. I'm gonna have to use that
anytime.
Do you guys have a a freshman or JV squad?
We do. We have a JV squad. We don't have a freshman squad. We just don't carry the numbers in order to justify that. Also, on the flip side, trying to get the logistics of buses and extra coaches. This year, I'm fortunate to finally have some extra hands. It had usually just been myself and Tyler Herring, my assistant, for the past 2 years. And then last year, we were able to get in Cale Mackey as a volunteer, which was a breath of fresh air, just to be able to relax a little bit and say, hey, can you take these guys and go work with them at first base or whatever the case may be, or hey, can you go take them in the cage while we get something else done? But we also brought in another guy named Brandon Moeller, who coaches our high school basketball team as well. So we have 4 of us now. So we find ourselves being able to move around a lot more to get that. But yeah, numbers wise, we're sitting pretty good. We like where we're at. So
it's a challenge, man. It's a challenge.
It definitely is.
Offensively, you kind of said something a little bit about that, before we even started. So you got some challenges offensively?
We do. So last year, I believe, my memory serves me right, we had 15 home runs as a team.
Oh, wow.
And we graduated probably 10 of those home runs. So we're scraping the bottom of the barrels as far as power production goes. My guys know, we all know that we're going to have to play a lot more small ball this year. And they've really taken an interest into it and really bought in with that idea. When I told them the first couple of days of practice that they're not going to get to swing a bat until probably the day before our first game, they were kind of shocked. But I told them that we have to value our defense more than anything else right now.
I love it.
That's the name of the game, especially at this level. At this level, you got to play sound defense to keep yourself in it. So we have a lot of challenges ahead of us. We have some guys that, again, I think will kind of show themselves. But we're going to be relying a lot on those 5 returners to carry that burden.
I love what you said there personally because, you got to earn your right to get to the at-bat. Mm-hmm. And it takes 3 outs to get there.
That's right.
And so to put that onus on that part of it, that keeps you in games.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't win a game without it. So,
right?
Yeah.
And if you're having to push and scrape for a few runs here and there.
That's right.
Hey.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to
do. Sometimes back in the day, when I was younger, not to say that I'm old, but in my younger coaching career, I definitely emphasized offense a lot, which is still super, super important. But, I think a lot of people, and especially in today's modernized game, people still fail to realize sometimes that baseball, the defense is in control of the ball, right? So if you can't master that side of the ball, then you have no shot of winning that game.
So now you got to tell the folks how long you've been coaching.
I've been going on year number 9.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I'm 30 years old, so.
You don't look 30.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. I hear it all day long.
The stress isn't got to you yet.
Yeah, not
Coach.
yet. My wife's found a few gray hairs.
I like the approach, and I think that's true, because we watch a lot of high school baseball, and I see high school coaches put a lot of pressure on the defense. Mm-hmm. You see, even with the big schools, and, I watching Howell and West play each other.
Yep.
They will small ball each other to death just to put pressure. And one of the things that both of those teams are pretty fundamentally sound when it comes to defense.
Yep.
They make plays that way. Especially Coach Goff over there at West. He really kind of I think he does a magnificent job of focusing on defense. Why do you think as young coaches and high school coaches don't focus or put that in attention to that defense as much?
Well, I think it just comes back to the adage, and I used to think this way too, but your defense can't score you runs. Only your offense can. That's the way I used to look at it. Not to say that it's right or wrong, but
right.
So you think offense. If I can't win, if I can't score, that's true. But there's one thing that you can tell between a team that's well coached and one that's maybe not up to par is how are they handling the ball on the defensive side? Are they in the right spots at the right times?
Right.
not to say you can luck your way into a win, but, if you get a hit batter and a pass ball, you got a guy at second, and then all you really need is a couple ground balls and you're kind of set up for some success. So not to say you can luck your way into it, but offense can be created on its own.
Well, everybody talks about scratching a run.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manufacture runs? Can you, if you get that, can you bunt the guy and move him over? Can you put those things? Can you put the ball in play? Opposite side of the field, get that runner into third, sack fly, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, that's baseball at the highest level.
Yeah.
Because that's what Major League Baseball is.
Yeah. Well, we think it is. It doesn't seem to be that way anymore. Too many home runs and strikeouts for this guy.
I agree. Gap to gap guy. If the ball flies, it flies.
Yeah.
If you're big and strong enough to hit it out of the park, fine.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah. Bat to ball skills are super important, and I think they're overlooked right now.
I always find it fascinating that some of the best home run hitters, the guys that are up there, Albert Pujols hits over 700 home runs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he never talked about trying to hit home runs.
That's right.
He's always just trying to put a good swing on it.
Yep.
Hit for average and whatnot. Of course, his Mickey Mantle, same way.
Yep. I think when you start overemphasizing the elevate to celebrate kind of concept,
it's fun though to say that.
It is, but with elevation comes a lot of mistakes and having to play out in front of the plate. You got to be able to play in the plate and out over the middle and on the outside and in front, behind you. You just got to be able to control that home plate, and I think that often gets lost.
Get some barrels.
Yeah.
And you're in good shape there.
Yeah.
I love that way. I think that's, and especially I always find it interesting to talk with the small school coaches because I think you guys have the challenges of those things. It's one thing to have 50 guys come out, and not to say that those coaches are bad coaches. They're really good coaches. Yeah. That's not what I mean. But when you have the opportunity of talent and a talent pool that it gets, you still have the challenges of playing time and those. Yeah. Everything has its challenges. But I always think it's so difficult how do you manufacture when, at some point you just don't have the bats and there's nobody there to go and say, hey, this guy can hit.
Yeah.
Hey, we're pulling you up from the freshman squad because you're hitting 600,
Yeah.
It isn't there, is it?
Yeah, no, it'd be nice. Trust me. I sometimes relish in that dream sometimes of like, man, it would be nice just to have 3 or 4 more guys that we could interchange. But I think, if a guy really wanted to or a coach really wanted to, you have to establish your program and you have to develop your guys within that program. Not everybody, like you said, gets that opportunity just to be able to have 50 guys come out. I mean, the guys that they are probably cutting would be great players for us, So, and that's what's really sad about the state of sports sometimes, that you have great athletes in certain schools, but, they'd be well off in other ones.
I've been advocating, well, I'm not advocating, but I've thought about this, and I've said it before on the show. I don't care. I think it would be cool. Say, you guys, Elsberry, it's not that far up from us. What? How far?
40 minutes probably.
Okay. So you have some of these GAC schools, these big schools.
Yeah.
Kid doesn't make the squad. Still wants to play high school baseball.
Yeah.
I think we could repurpose that player.
Yeah. We definitely could, but I think Misha's going to have a hard time going for that. Going to have too many
that's
too
a
many
little rough,
pieces.
isn't it?
Yeah.
They'd be like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I know. It's just a thought, though.
Yeah. It's not a
you
bad
see
thought.
some of these kids.
It's not a bad thought.
We're going to leave that one alone, right? Somebody's talking, what is he talking about? No, I appreciate, the community. What's the difference, do you think, in maybe some of the bigger schools and then that small community and the feel of everything?
I feel like with the big city schools, and I've only had very minor experiences when I first started coaching with what it was like to be at a big school. It's very, I'm not going to say politic-ish, but it's very cut and dry on what you're looking for. In small schools, you don't have that because your talent pool is not that large. to look into. So you're fostering relationships with kids to find out what makes them tick, I think, better than maybe a big school, because sometimes kids get lost in that crack of building relationships. So I think that's probably the biggest thing is how can I connect to my community through my kids, and making sure that we're all in a very stable situation that kind of helps everybody out in that regard. And sometimes I feel like that gets lost with the big schools. Not to say that they don't do that, but I think sometimes it's more business-like than personal. So it's a double-edged sword. You're going to get one way or the other, just depending on what you're more comfortable with. So
there you go. All right. Jacyna. I was closer that
close.
time. Jacyna. Levi Jacyna, folks. Head coach, Elsberry High School coach. I appreciate you taking the time to come down and hang out with us in the studio, man.
Of course.
It's a bit of a drive.
It's all right. It's not that bad.
Hopefully we'll get up. Hopefully I can get up there and see you guys. We got a busy schedule.
Sure, I'm sure you do.
But maybe we'll see you in the Final Four.
I would hope so. That'd be fantastic.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to see you guys. Mark Twain's like Class 1, aren't they?
I think they're they might be a Class 3 now. They're starting to get bigger. Yeah, but I think they're generically a Class 2, generally speaking.
Okay.
But they might be moving up to 3. I think they seem to getting larger.
And what's the name of your conference again?
The EMO Conference, or the Eastern Missouri Conference.
Eastern Missouri EMO Conference.
Yeah, short
we'll just
EMO.
Do that.
Yep.
EMO. Eastern Missouri Conference. Bowling Green, Clopton, Elsberry, Louisiana, Mark Twain, Montgomery County, North Callaway County, Silex, Von Farr, Wellsville, Middletown, and Wright City, folks. I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool stuff. Get out. I'm sure the community does, but hey, if Elsberry, get out and support these guys. Go to the ball game. Baseball's free, right? Or do you guys pay to get in?
No, they still have to pay to get in, but we have a very unique environment up at the American Legion Field. So,
is that where you're playing?
Yeah,
okay.
We play at the Legion Field up there. On the first base side is a huge hill. So we have tons of cars that pull up there and just sit up there in their cars and watch the game. When our local radio station comes in, they'll throw on the ball game as it's being broadcasted live from our field. So it's really cool. That place was absolutely insane to look at when we were playing Father Tolton in the quarterfinals a few years back. That was one of probably the best memories ever.
It was packed, wasn't it?
It was probably 500-600 people deep, just surrounding that ball field. So it was the first Final Four appearance for Elsberry baseball ever. So it was a big deal.
You're looking to get that taste back, ain't you, Coach?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't blame you. That's fun. Well, good luck to you this year.
I appreciate it.
And,
Thank you.
Tell Jacyn hello for me when you see him again.
I will.
Yeah, I had a good time talking to him.
Yep.
And I love that collaboration you guys got going on. That's awesome.
Yep. Absolutely.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. Do appreciate it. Hey, if you like what we're doing, take a moment. Right below there is a subscribe button. Click that button. Then next to it, hit the dinger. Chicks dig the long ball.
That's right.
And that's what we do around here. That gets you all your notifications for upcoming episodes such as this. Great information, great folks like Levi here. I'm not going to try and butcher his last name again. But we appreciate it very much. Have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes. Hitters, got some advice for them?
Smash it out of the ballpark. Take a rip at it.
No small ball today.
No.
We'll see y'all next time.